Hello everyone, and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today, we will be discussing Season 2 of The Frog and Molly McGee, which, if you didn't see the last one, which I suggest because it'll explain a lot, is basically if we placed the Molly McGee cast in the place of the human Amphibia cast. So, without any further ado, let us get right into it. Handy Ann, or in this case, Handy Molly, would stay the same until the end. Since Hop Pop never buried the music box, Molly could take it to Newtopia. Also, I tried to tell you this in part 1, but Screencastify cut me off for some reason. It always does that. While the Toad Tower was crumbling to the ground, a piece of rubble landed on Molly's arm and broke it. It's still broken here, but it's close to recovery and should heal by the time we get to Marcy at the gates, or in this case, Libby at the gates. In Fortin the Road, Andrea and Percy would accompany Molly and the planters from a different wagon. Braddock was too busy being the mayor, though. Unfortunately, Andrea isn't a big fan of Hop Pop's rules, and she makes a better plan to escape the wagon than Anne did in the original timeline. Hop Pop and Percy don't even realize they had left. And the whole scenario with the factory happens, with Andrea being the one who got stuck in the system, and Molly being the one to try to save her. Wait. Didn't those lasers in the factory leave Hop Pop in his underwear? Oh god, I did not think this through. Best case scenario, Andrea was wearing something under her now destroyed iconic hoodie and was left with pink underwear. That's the best case scenario here. I also think it would somehow get rid of what little hair dye was left in her hair. So say goodbye to that. Why am I going this deep into this, you may be asking? Well, when this happened to Hop Hop in the original timeline, it was fixed before the end of the episode because he has spares. The girls, however, only brought the clothes they had on them to Amphibia, so Andrea's design would be completely different for the rest of the series. All because of this one insignificant part of the episode. What was I talking about again? Oh yeah, when Molly and Andrea are about to be crushed by the machine, Sprig wouldn't have Hop Pop's road rules. So when the robotic arm holding the thing that's about to crush Molly and Andrea breaks, when the two girls should have been crushed, Molly activates a fraction of her calamity powers again, holding the machine up and breaking it off the ceiling. She then frees Andrea, and they all get the heck out of there. They apologize to Hop Hop for going against the rules, get ice cream, blah blah blah, Frobo. In the Ballad of Hobadiah Planter, with Percy's strength, Andrea's sword skills, and Molly's habit of setting things on fire, according to these videos, they actually stand a chance against Mama Hasselback, but whether they win or lose, this episode doesn't affect anything. In Anne Hunter, or in this case Molly Hunter, Molly would be much more interested in learning how to hunt the planter way than Anne was. She wouldn't be a big fan of eating the dirt, though. That combined with Andrea's sword skills, the Scorpio is barely a challenge. In Truck Stop Polly, Percy would be the responsible one and read Polly a story, so this episode might never happen. In A Caravan Named Desire, Molly would try to become a part of the theater game with Sprig, and Andrea would think it's lame, and Percy is just Percy, so this episode doesn't change that much. Crawler's past would stay the same, and in Toadcatcher, considering literally no one has stuck with Grime after the Toad Tower incident, considering Andrea, Percy, and Braddock are gone. When General Union eventually finds him, he would stand no match against her, and would be taken to Newtopian prison. In Swamp Insensibility, Molly would help Wally by making his family accept him, but wouldn't have a phone like Anne did. And it's not like Andrea's phone has videos of Wally being a doofus. Speaking of Andrea, she soaks in the luxury she hasn't felt since she was on Earth. She'd also get a new clothes after the temple incident, making her side of the episode kind of like what happened with Anne in Bessie and Michelangelo. Back with Molly, even though she doesn't have a phone, let's say that through determination she still manages to expose Wally. Then the episode goes the same, but now I'm tempted to draw Andrea's redesign. Will I show that to you? No! In Wax Museum, once Andrea sees Molly getting money and attention from by being a human, she's gonna want some of that as well. I don't know if Molly would like the Wax Museum as much as Anne would have, but for plot purposes, let's say she is. Then the episode would basically go the same. Before we get to Libby at the gates, let's see what Libby has done since she got to Amphibia. She ends up befriending Andreas and becomes a part of the Newtopian army like Marcy did. But unlike Marcy, she wasn't comfortable with doing any field work, and would likely come up with battle plans like the Triple B did. Of course, being better than them at it, so they are probably fired. I never liked them anyway. Libby wouldn't be interested in some of the Amphibia games like Flipwart, but Creatures in Caverns is definitely not off the table. But let's stop stalling and get back to the story. In Libby at the Gates, when the barbarians try attacking the group, a small army of newts led by Libby start firing arrows, causing the ants to retreat. Andrea and Molly are obviously happy to see Libby, and because of the lack of an Andrea betrayal, Sprague feels no suspicion against her. They then execute a plan to take down the barbarians, share some time together, and we see Andreas put 2 new pieces on the flipboard table. In Treasure Hunt, I'm not sure if Libby would be a fan of puzzlegrams like Marcy was, but if she was, Molly wouldn't feel any jealousy for Libby being so smart, and the part with the sewers never happens. Also, Andrea would be stuck with Percy, Hop Hop, and Polly. The Planters' check-in stays the same, and in Lost in Utopia, Percy would join Molly, Polly, and Andrea, preventing them from doing anything stupid. In Sprague Gets Schooled, Andrea would be the one to try to break into the university, while Molly tries to stop her from doing anything stupid, but not much changes about this episode. Little Frog Town stays the same, and in Hopping Mall, since Molly doesn't have any of the strength Anne does, she ends up losing the derby, but still gets the butterfly from Pearl out of pity. Andrea would also tag along with Polly, using her haggling abilities to get expensive items for free. In A Sleepover to End All Sleepovers, Andrea would join along with Molly and Libby, and because of Libby's habit of acting all medieval when she's tired, they probably wouldn't stay up that long. After all, we don't have Sasha here. And therefore would never go into the basement. I doubt these 3 would even play the exact game the Calamity Trio did in the original timeline anyway. A day at the aquarium would never happen, as when Molly plans to go back to Wartwood with the Planters, Libby wouldn't try to stop her. Andreas also wouldn't make a deal with her since she doesn't really like Flipwart, and wouldn't reveal any secrets to him during a game. Even so, she has nothing to hide. Uh, of course, Andreas still tells Libby to bring the box to him so he'll know how to operate it and get them home. Night drivers might never happen, since it would be extra difficult for Sprig and Polly to drive 2 wagons to Wartwood. Uh, Return to Wartwood would stay the same, as well as the shut-in, though Molly would probably have a different story than what Anne had. And in Ivy on the Run, since Molly wouldn't know any form of martial arts like Anne did, when Ivy tries to run away from home, she would be caught and grounded. After the Rain would never happen, since Hop Hop never buried the music box. Uh, in the first temple, Andrea, Percy, and Braddock would come along, but wouldn't do much to help with the temple. Libby would be smart enough to complete the first 2 puzzles, but her lack of practice in flipwort would end up causing her to lose without flipping over her wart herself. There would also be no tension between Molly and Hop Hop, since After the Rain would never happen. And at the end of the episode, Yunnan would be informing King not about the Toads gathering up to have a meeting, but instead about Grimes' escape from the prison. In New Wartwood, with Braddock as mayor, she would stop Libby from making improvements to the town, while in the original timeline, Mayor Toadstool would encourage it. Friender Frobo would stay the same, though at this point of writing the script, I forgot Frobo was lore relevant. Toad to Redemption might never happen, since Braddock may not be seen as a Toad right for the job of the new head of Toad's Tower. After all, she did betray it. In Maddie and Marcy, or in this case, Maddie and Libby, Libby would be just as interested in spells as Marcy was in the original timeline. Only this time she has a lot more room to invest in it. While Marcy was juggling being a head commander, doing field work for Newtopia, Creatures in Caverns, Flipwort, spending time with her friends, making a plant encyclopedia, writing on Joe, the list goes on, Libby only deals with a fraction of what Marcy did. Meaning that she can spend much more time with Maddie than Marcy did, and it wouldn't just be this one episode where the 2 interact. The second temple would stay the same, and in Barrel's Warhammer, Grime, who had escaped the Newtopian prison, went on a solo mission to get the Warhammer. Though it takes a lot more effort than it did with Sasha, he does eventually get it. Bessie and Michelangelo would stay the same. The third temple would go the same, but with no true colors foreshadowing at the end. Instead, when everyone exits the temple, they see a smashed up Frobo and an injured Joe Sparrow, with Grimes standing menacingly, looking away from them. Soon a battle starts, and even with the Warhammer, Grime is defeated but ends up escaping. The dinner might never happen, since there's no tension between Molly and Andrea, and Grime isn't there to bring the fall cake, no. In Battle of the Bands, though I doubt Libby, Molly, and Andrea would have a garage band like Marcy, Anne and Sasha did. I don't know why I was doing there. They would still work with each other. Andrea would make a few notes on some things, but wouldn't take over the whole operation like Sasha did. While their performance isn't as good as No Big Deal, they are still able to win, since Grime isn't there with his 3-hour-long harp session. In True Colors, there wouldn't be no Toad invasion, and we could instead get right to Andreas's betrayal. Things go the same until Andreas throws Sprig out the window. Because of Molly's energetic personality, she is able to give Andreas more of a beating, and stayed in her calamity form much longer, or slightly longer, because of that. Andreas barely had the strength to stand up and ends up being pinned to the neck by Andrea's sword. Just when Molly is about to grab the box back, a loud mechanical noise comes from the hallway behind them. Through the giant door comes a raging core, attacking anything and everything it sees. They try to fight back, but to no avail. The only hope is that Libby opens a portal to Earth while Andrea holds it off. The core is too strong for her alone, though, and it takes the strength of her, Molly, and the planters just to hold it back. Libby opens a portal, but Andreas, with his remaining strength, uses the flame sword to knock the box out of her hands and knock her, Olivia, and Yunnan into the portal. And that, my friends, is where Season 2 ends. How long have I been recording? This doesn't tell me. That did not work. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this one.